Today is my dirty 30. If I could sit with my younger self, I would tell her that you don't need to be loved by everyone. Just being able to look at yourself and have that self-talk. Sometimes some of my hardest conversations have come from talking to myself in the mirror. What's going on, guys? It's your girl, Eboni Elle, and I'm so excited to welcome you for another episode of the Legacy Lounge. Today is my dirty 30. And I am super excited for this particular episode because I am joined today by my younger cousins. I mean, they're not so young, but they're much younger than me. And we're going to be dedicating this episode to letters to our younger selves. I think what's really cool about being at this stage of life, first of all, for my 30th birthday, I was supposed to rent an island. Like, we were supposed to turn up on an island, bring a nephew everywhere, and boom, Sadie. So things have completely changed, but it creates a lot of room for reflection. And so I thought, who better to reflect on my younger years than with my cousins, as they are currently going through different stages of life. Each of them are different ages. So I'd like to introduce you to Johnai and Ketura. First, as we get started, why don't you say hello to the audience and tell them one cool fact about yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Johnai. One cool fact about myself is that I'm in university for law, and I'm really enjoying it right now. So, yeah.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Ketura, and one interesting fact about myself is that when I was younger, I wrote a book. Well, I didn't even know that.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
I never really got published, though, but it was close.
We should do that.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to have both of these guys here. They're also best friends. You'd think, with cousins and stuff, that's how it goes, but they are the tightest. And I'm excited to have you guys here to talk a little bit about letters to each of our younger selves. I am now 30. Ketura's 21.
Yeah.
Legal drinking age everywhere. And Johnai, you're 18. Okay, so we're in good stages. We're kind of like approaching those 20s, but it's different milestones for each of you. And then as I turn a new chapter into 30. So let's get into it. Let's start off with letters to ourselves.
If you could sit with a younger self for 60 seconds, what would you tell her about life, love, or money?
If I could sit with my younger self, I would tell her that you don't need to be loved by everyone, that you don't need to have your finances completely together, but a little bit. I would just say, in terms of life, just trust myself, right? I think I grew up, and you guys know that I was bullied, and so that impacted a lot of what I did. I was a huge approval addict, which means if somebody didn't like me, I'm going to do stuff to try to make you want to like me. Yeah. And as a result, it's you keep friends where you reflect on it and you're like, why do I mess with you? And it takes time to get to that point, but because it's a popularity contest, you want to look good, even into the decisions that I made. Johnai's in law school, and what she didn't mention is she's going to be spending some of her time in England for law school. And that's actually something that I wanted to do as well. But I feel like I wanted to be a lawyer, not just because I love law, but because I felt like I liked the way people reacted when I said I'm going to be a lawyer. Because it was different, right? Because people don't expect. It's weird because, we know that people are progressive now, but when a young black woman says, I'm going to be a lawyer, people are like, wow, oh my gosh. I mean, shoot, I would have said I'd be a doctor too if I wasn't afraid of blood, right? So I think to myself, it would just be to completely trust myself with my life. Trust God's timing. There's a lot to learn with that, and just trusting intuition. But most importantly, remembering that the greatest love is from within. It doesn't actually come from anybody else. I guess that makes me ask you guys a question. What's something you both wish you knew before stepping into late teens, early 20s?
I feel like for me, one thing I wish I knew is that you don't have to have it all figured out. I feel like for when you're in high school, everyone paints this picture that, especially in grade 11 and 12, you have to know what you want to do, know what you're going to go into. And then it's once you get there, you're just stressed because nobody really talks about what it's like to not have it all figured out. And I feel like that's just something that I wish I knew more and didn't put too much pressure on myself for not knowing. Because for me, like in the beginning of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, like at all. I wanted to be a lawyer, a therapist, an interior designer. And then I just felt stressed because I didn't know. And then I got to grade 11 and 12, and then I found my passion. Yeah.
I love that. Ketura, how about
I feel like for me it's pretty similar too. I don't rush into figuring out so fast because I feel like I rushed into going to school when I wasn't ready. And I took that gap year and I feel like it was necessary for me to move forward. And I feel like I'm doing a lot better in school. And also, like, I feel like with high school, it's such a big deal to like fit in and act a certain way so you can be popular. But once you graduate, none of that matters and no one cares anymore.
I love that. And you said something that's really important too, right? Like both of you touched on it. There's this pressure to feel like you have to do things in a certain order. And like Ketura, for you, and it's the same thing that happened to my brother too, right? Like somebody says you just got to go to school. What are you doing? Like, go to school. That's how you know you're going to be successful. That's how you know you're not whatless, as most of our families try to say, right? And so you do it and then you're there, but you're kind of just checking a box, but mentally you're not there. And I think it's scary to take a gap year, right? Because then you have people saying like, you just drop out, you know, and now you have to deal with that because you're probably feeling to yourself like, I didn't complete something. And so you're battling with your own feelings of, did I fail? Did I let myself down? Did I make the right decision? And then other people's expectation of how your life should look. So congratulations to you, because I know a lot of people who, some people take a gap year and they never return. Can it be a place of doom? Absolutely. So for anybody watching this who's like telling their parents, I'm taking a gap year, and your parents are saying no, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to show them this. Sometimes a gap year can be doom. But if you have the right intention for it, and if you're intentional with your actions during that time, it can be great things, because now you're back in school, you're not pressured, you're doing something that you enjoy doing, which means you're showing up completely different than when you first went in.
Yeah.
Right? So speaking of that pressure, right? The pressure to have everything all together. For you guys, how does this show up? Has it impacted any of your relationships, friendships? Like, how does that pressure creep into your lives?
I feel like for me, it kind of just creeps in like mentally. Cause like when I feel pressured or when I feel stressed, it kind of just, it takes a toll on me like mentally. And I feel like I'm not 100% myself. And then I don't show up for my relationships, my friendships in school. So that's for me, like mentally, I'd say.
Sometimes I feel like I have to prove myself to people, especially like me being a people pleaser. I feel like I need to please everybody. And I feel like sometimes I'm not doing enough, like in terms of my career choice, that I feel like I could have done better. But at the end of the day, it is something that I wanted to do. And in terms of my relationships, I feel like, you know, my relationships are still pretty good. And but sometimes it's a little bit hard to juggle school and those friendships at the same time.
I think you are both at this cool point. There's this book. Everybody should read it. You guys should read it. The audience should read it. It's called The Let Them Theory. It's by Mel Robbins. It's an audiobook. And it basically just talks about, like, if people want to call you a high school dropout, let them. If people want to ask you why you're going to England, let them. If they say why you want to be that type of lawyer, let them. And it changes the way that you look at life and the way that you look at people. But most importantly, it talks about, like, adult friendships. Like, have you noticed that as you guys have gotten older now, your friendships have changed?
Yeah.
Have you lost any friends yet?
A few, yeah.
Not yet, Ketura?
No.
It will happen.
I know.
But this is just how it goes, right? And like, you know, both of you guys mentioned, like, in high school, you're there, you're with the same people all the time, and it's so tight-knit. So it's easy to be friends with your friends because you have to see them every day.
Sorry.
But when you're chasing life, we're not all doing the same thing. We're not all going to the same school. We don't work in the same area. We don't live in the same cities anymore. Then it's hard for you to keep in touch. And then you find your relationships change as well. So, you know, just be open to that. Like, even in your case, right? You may not have time for all of your friends. In fact, I'm a horrible texter. Anybody who knows me and loves me knows that is something that I'm working on. And I've been working on it for like all my life. It's you get so busy sometimes, and I read something and I clock it and I'm like, love you. and I don't answer, right? But I have a group of friends who understand that, because I also have new people who are like, why don't you call me? Why don't you want to go out? And I'm like, bro, I'm not sleeping, you know? And so this is really important to recognize at this stage. How did you guys deal with those pressures though? Like, I know that you guys have pivoted and you guys have changed your self-talk, but in what other areas or what other things did you do to deal with those pressures?
I feel like for a while I was kind of stuck, and I didn't really know what to do with myself. But recently I've started journaling, and I feel like that's helped a lot. I've been writing down my thoughts, and I feel like because I've been journaling, I'm like more of a positive person, so I have a different outlook on life than I did before.
I love that. You go, girl.
For me, I feel like for a long time I kind of just held everything in. And I never used to believe in like talking to people about your problems or like pressures or anything that you had going on. And recently I started like opening up to like my friends, my family, and it honestly helps like to talk to people about it. And I feel like for me now, like I'm not as stressed and like, and as like mentally drained as I was before. Yeah.
When you look back on the last 30 years, what's your biggest milestone and challenge, and why do they stand out?
My biggest milestone first has to be becoming a mom. That's huge, because I mean, it's the early stages of that, but you don't know, like, being a mom is like a challenge. Like everything that we've just discussed here, bullying, all that stuff, now it's like a human being that you're watching over, going through all of that. And so it's almost like playing a game, like a video game, but it's real life. And I think because of that and everything that I've been through, it's prepared me for this moment to be a super mom. In addition to that, outside of momhood, I would say it's really just my career, right? I went to school for law. I failed the LSAT horribly, and I didn't even feel bad about it. And then I forgot to apply to law school, and I just feel this is not for me, because, if I really want to be a lawyer, there's no way I would have ever forgotten to apply. The LSAT score was horrendous, but I still had room to make it up, right? I just didn't want to. And I remember feeling like I potentially made the worst mistake of my life, but knowing that there was something greater. And so one of my biggest milestones is just accepting the call, the call for greatness, because it's hard. Entrepreneurship is not great. I told you I was bullied, which means that when you have to network and talk to people, and people have opinions of your services and of your marketing, it's like anxiety creating. But I'm so glad that I answered the call, because I mean, I believe in being a lawyer. You're gonna be an awesome lawyer. We may need you one day. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I think that there's so much more that you can do with yourself, and I've unlocked that. It's not a job. There's no job that I could have applied for that would have given me this. Should be able to influence the community, and then to set me up to be a great role model to my child, right? Which is something that I'm grateful for. And in terms of challenges, really, one of my biggest challenges was, I think, just people's opinions. Like, I wasted a lot of time dealing with people's opinions. And I think when I was in my like middle stages of pregnancy, my mom kept calling me weird. She kept saying like, Eboni, you're so weird. So weird. You're so mean now. This is just bringing out stuff from you. And it's like, all of a sudden you get put in this position where you're like, I just don't care. If you're not moving right, I just don't care. And so that was something that held me back for years. I care about people's opinions. I don't know what to do about it. What if people look at me this way? I'd go on a stage and my knees would be shaking. And then you just kill it. And so my biggest challenge was myself. I was getting in my way, and I was able to knock that away from just really letting everybody else do what they wanted to do and letting me focus on what was going to be best for me.
How are you able to work on your self-confidence and your ability to see yourself as a strong, independent woman?
I think just looking in the mirror. You know that so many women young girls, teenagers, like, we look in the mirror like superficially. Like you do your makeup, you do your nails, you do like but you don't actually like look through the mirror at like, who is that? And I think that's huge, because when you're just looking superficially, like, you're looking and your face is beat and you look great and you're like, I gotta sit. Oh my gosh, like my stupid eyebrows. One's always higher than the other. Okay, yeah. And so you're just picking at things instead of like looking at like, I'm beautiful. I don't care what anybody else says. Like, I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Or like just being able to look at yourself and have that self-talk. Like, you know, sometimes some of my hardest conversations have come from talking to myself in the mirror. And now I just walk around the store talking to myself. Like, it's something that I do because there's a point where you get so comfortable with self and being by yourself and holding your own space that it makes you uber confident, right? Because when somebody comes into your environment and shakes things up, you're not nervous. You don't feel flawed. You go back into the mirror and you're like, yeah, I'm that girl. I'm that girl. I don't care what you say. I can have bogle hanging out of my nose right now. I'm still that girl. And that's how you keep that confidence. So what I would say to you is like maintain the journaling, right? Journaling is super important. Prayer is so important as well. And looking yourself in the mirror. Just spend that time, awkward silence, looking at yourself in the mirror and just saying, I'm that girl. Yeah. Okay, so now we're getting to the end of our episode. And I want to ask, okay, so you asked me about confidence. I shared my habits. What are 2 things each of you do to build your confidence each day?
For me, I feel like it's kind of silly, but I used to like write on my mirror and just write like affirmations like you're beautiful, you're worthy, you deserve to be here. I used to do things like that, and it actually did help.
I like a lot. Yeah. How about you, Ketura?
For me, I really struggled with being like filmed or recorded. So sometimes like once a week I like to like get ready, record myself, and just like, oh wow, you look really good. And just give myself that confidence boost.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's huge because you're being filmed and recorded right now. Well,
Rest, the growth.
so yeah, this is huge growth. And I think like for the audience watching, irrespective of your age, you may even be like a young man watching this. These things to build self-confidence are huge because again, at the end of the day, people, naysayers, like your boss, your teachers, they're not the ones that like are beside you when you're up at night just staring at the ceiling. It's you. And ultimately, when you're tormenting yourself with the what ifs of life, am I doing this? I could do this better. Nobody else is there. The only person who can change it is you. So now we're going to close out, right, with a big piece of advice. When you hear the word legacy, what does it mean for you at this age in this season?
For me, I feel like it just means leaving your mark and leaving behind a legacy for like, for me, my younger people, like my younger audience, my younger friends, like, and just like letting them know that it's okay to not have everything figured out. It's okay to be stressed. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to talk to people. And I feel like that's really important for me. Yeah.
I feel like for my legacy this season is to know that it's okay to like let your emotions out. It's okay to cry because it's a part of your healing journey. And one thing about healing is it takes time, but you also get to figure out yourself in that process. But you're going to go through a rough patch where you're just crying every day, and then eventually you'll get out and you'll realize like, I'm actually really happy and this is the best version of myself.
I love that. So your legacy is healing.
Yeah.
Your legacy is healing, and your legacy is being able to pass down things, which could be knowledge, right? And I think it's more so knowledge. If you could write one line to your future self, what would it be?
I feel like stay focused. Stay focused for me.
It's okay to be patient.
Oh, I like that. I think mine would be, it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to be patient. It's okay to be imperfect, and stay focused, stay the course. I think all of those align with the season that we're going into. Remember that as you're growing and as each chapter kind of continues, you don't know what's in store. And it's crazy because every year people are like, this is my year, this is my season, this is my year. You don't know that.
No.
Yeah. All you know is how you'll react to the things that come up. So for both of you, I want to say thank you so much for joining me because I know that this is socially awkward. You know, the teenagers, you know, early adults like this. Yeah. But I really appreciate it because it's uncomfortable, but we're able to have a conversation that I think really does pour into that legacy, like legacy of people who are looking for this space to have this conversation and who are dealing with different things and who are young but want to focus on the letter that they write to their future self. So thank you both for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
I'm excited to see all that you accomplished. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We can't wait to see you for the next one. But until then, bye.